Welcome to my world. I'm Jazz Takar, and I want you to come follow me on my journey as I document the ups and downs of running a business. I've been in sales and service for over 25 years. See, my cup's full now. It's my time to give back to you. The conversations I'm having with guys and gals in the industries of real estate, entrepreneurship, and leadership. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and all you have to do now is sit back, relax, and come into my world. Mr. Manny Khosbin, how are you doing today?
Very good. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
And Manny, just for our viewers and listeners, where are you signing in from today, buddy? Where's head office and home for you, brother?
Yeah, so I'm in Irvine, California right now, and I reside in Newport Coast, California. So I've been here over 30 years. Love it.
And for our listeners, who the ones that are driving right now, taking their dog for a walk, or on the treadmill, you cannot see this gentleman's background. It's not one of these fake Zoom backgrounds we've been seeing since COVID. I mean, that's and if I mistakenly say the number at $30 million, please correct me, because I know you've been looking at a new Porsche. I think you picked it up. That is an amazing lineup of cars behind you. Like, where did that passion of cars come from, Manny?
Well, boys with toys. I mean, every boy loves Ferraris, red cars, ever since you're 2, 3 years old, probably. But
Yeah.
for me, it started, my neighbor, Armin Gugasian, was about probably 20 years ago. I bought a house in Corona del Mar, and he was my neighbor, and he owned a Ferrari dealership. So every morning, I wake up Saturday morning, I see a line of cars. He's, coming and going all the time. So we became friends. And I started appreciating, Italian craftsmanship, details, the history behind each brand. And some of these cars are, aside from being a symbol of achievement, success, they do have great investment, aspect to them. I've made money in cars, actually. It's millions of dollars investments, but I've actually made money in, holding these cars.
So how did you do that? Because most of the time, cars, people think like the second you drive them off the lot, they lose, they start to depreciate in value.
Mhm.
Like, is it because you held on to them, they're classics, and then you flipped them?
Well, yeah, in general, a production car, you drive off the lot, you've already lost money, right? But the cars I buy, they're very, very limited production. They're hyper cars. And then on top of that, I engage a very high brand to come and collaborate. So I make it the experience and also the actual end result to be very unique. For example,
How's it?
yeah, Hermes with Bugatti, Hermes with Pagani, and now I have my third Hermes car at the factory. That's with McLaren, the Speedtail, the three-seater. So I'm excited for that one. That's going to be my probably most expensive car. But so these cars are really art on wheels. And if you give them a more exclusivity by bringing another brand to collaborate, in my view, I may be wrong, but I think 10, 20 years from now, they could be, it's like Picasso. There is only
Right.
one, and
Well,
there.
they look beautiful behind you. If I had to make you choose one, I'm curious. You could only keep one. Which one would it be, brother?
Oh man. Well, right now it would be the Chiron Hermes edition, which is not here actually. There is a problem with the AC.
Okay.
I have four Bugattis, and two of them are at the shop.
I love it.
That's another whole separate discussion. The maintenance on these cars.
Well, well, definitely. I mean, if once all this lockdown stuff is over, we're gonna have to do a podcast episode live in that garage with you, just to showcase the interior of these cars. My
Yeah.
listeners and my viewers, they've kind of like they know my story in the sense of my immigrant parents, father, taxi driver, mother, factory worker, came to Canada in 1974, 1975. I got to see the work ethic and what it took, and them needing to pinch pennies. I mean, I'm the youngest of three brothers. They really didn't expand their real estate portfolio, something that I wish they did. Obviously, they started by just renting out the basement of their first property. Can you talk a little bit, Manny, about what you learned from the hardships of your parents' experiences?
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. Well, everybody has a different, journey getting to America or Canada or whatever it may be, your destination. But the struggle is obviously is there, because unless you're super wealthy and that's super rare, right? To your parents line everything up and you
Yeah.
guys, fly first class, to wherever you're going. But most people that migrated from other countries obviously had a hardship, and difficult journey. And you and I are no exception. And for me, that experience at age 14, seeing the struggle my parents made to basically give me and my brother and sisters a better life, I took that as motivation. That was my drive to kind of get to a financial freedom point where I could give back, I guess, to my parents a comfortable lifestyle, right? So I retired my dad probably, I don't know, 25 years ago. And he's young, he's only 70. So he's not,
Yeah.
but what I learned over the years is you can achieve anything you want as long as you put your mind into it. You have a plan, right? And you're patient and you don't give up on yourself. That's the most important part. Don't give up on yourself. A lot of people give up. It's okay to give up on a business
Yeah.
because maybe that business wasn't a great idea, right? But you move that energy and force into something else that can convert, right? You're not giving up. You're not giving up on yourself. You're giving up on a project or something that's probably not a great idea, right?
Well, I love what you said there, Manny. Like even where you might give up on a specific business that you're involved in, that doesn't mean that you're giving up on yourself. It's just that might not have been the right timing. You might not have had the right people and the right resources. But
Yep.
some really get hard on themselves and say, okay, I'm a quitter now. And then they start to go down that path and almost start to attract more negativity in their life.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, I'm no exception either. I've had my downfalls where I got scammed. I've been nearly bankrupt twice, maybe three times. So, it's easy to, it's very easy to throw in the towel and say, you know what, this is the third time I'm back to zero. Maybe it's just not for me. I should just go work at a company and just, move up the ladder in a corporate, right?
Yeah.
But it gets a little bit easier too with each time that you get defeated and you get back up and you have some series of success before you fail again. It's kind of goes both ways. For me, um, it's the journey has been long, it's been hard, but very rewarding because I didn't give up on myself. So the one advice I have for everybody is don't give up on yourself.
I,
Just
I,
stay the course.
one thing, I have two younger interns on my team, and I have 39 real estate agents. We have 11 support staff, and part of that support staff is two younger people, 19 and 22 years old, Juju and Luke. And we were speaking not too long ago, like literally about 2, 3 days ago, about the power of manifestation and visualization, right? And I was talking to them about that at the start of this year, pre-COVID. Something that I really not only visualized but felt the
Yeah.
feelings about was to hit a certain target. I wanted to do close to a little over 600 transactions with our team, where 92% of that target right now here in the Greater Toronto area of helping that many clients. Can you talk about, because I've seen some vision boards, as for anybody who doesn't follow Manny and all his social networks and his website, I mean, all the descriptions are below right now, wherever you're watching this. You need to follow this guy first and foremost. Like after this podcast is done, go follow Manny right away. But Manny, can you still talk about can you talk about your vision board? And do you still visualize on a regular basis?
Oh man, yeah, that's part of my regular ritual. My vision board started way, 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 at a young age. I still have that book actually. Um, Let me see if I can find it because
Yeah,
that'd be.
take your time, buddy. Take your time.
Oh, ah, that right. That one, yeah. So this is over 30 years old, right?
Oh,
And
crap.
this was my vision board. Let me find. So this is a house I drew that I wanted to have, and
Okay.
this is back in 1990. So 30 years ago. You know, it was a two-story house with a tennis court on the roof, and a bunch of cars. You know, Diablo, Ferrari, Lexus, Mercedes, a big pool, and I even drew my wife. I even drew financials, like how much I
Did
want
you
to be.
just say you drew your wife, Manny?
Huh?
Did
Yeah.
you just say you drew your wife as well?
So I drew a woman that I want to marry.
That's
So
awesome.
this is back in 1995, so 25 years ago. And
Okay.
now, if you look, that looks pretty much like Layla, you know, my wife. So back to vision board. Yeah, vision board is absolutely important. I'm really am a big believer of when you put the pen to paper over and over, there is something about the power of subconscious. You're recording it in your mind, and there is some way laws of universe line up for you to achieve that. You know, I've experienced it over and over and over. A good example, the blue Bugatti you see in the back,
Yeah,
blue,
right behind the black one. Okay.
yeah. So that car belonged to a friend of mine. It's unfortunate he had to sell it under distress, but he asked me if I could store it here 7 or 8 years ago, and I didn't own a Bugatti back then. So I keep staring at this Bugatti. I'm like, wow, what a beautiful car. And one thing happened, you know, he lost all his money. He followed, you know, pretty much, you know, went through a big financial distress, and he was gonna, you know, sell the Bugatti. He goes, I'd rather sell it to you. You're my friend. And I didn't even want the car, but I keep looking at the car, and now it's in my garage. I'm telling
Where
you.
did you learn it from, Manny? Where did you learn? Like, what made you 30 years ago draw that house, draw your wife?
You know,
Like, where did that come from?
yeah. I don't know. You know, I came from such a hard financial position. You know, when we came here, we were homeless, and my dad, you know, and mom went through so much a struggle because my sister was 6 or 7 months old at the time, and all that was such a mental pressure on me. I had to grow from a 14-year-old boy to a man all of a sudden. And because it was all had to do with financial hardship, right? Aside, I didn't, aside from lack of knowledge too, but money was, you know, money solves a lot of problems, right?
Sure.
And that to me, so I start dreaming big right away. I want a big house. I want a bunch of cars. I want to buy a big farm for my parents. You know, even before I was, you know, 17 or 18, I was already aiming, you know, to become a multimillionaire so I can retire then. So, you know, sometimes you try to get to a point in your life just to get out of that hardship, but success brings success, you know, and once you start making money, you get good, you know, it feels good, right? Feels good to win, feels good to hire a bunch of employees, see the growth in yourself mentally, financially, and you see how you're changing other people's lives. And you know, they say success is addicting. It's very true. And you know why stop? So if you're doing something good, you're helping others. uh, you know, it's been a long journey. I'm not saying I haven't had my ups and downs. Even this coronavirus, I had a lot of tenants, so I had a little bit of a bump, you know, March, April, May this year. But hey, I'm back to 99% where it was. You know,
I
you just
love that.
you got to stay in the ring, you know.
I hope our viewers and listeners are catching a theme on the Jazz Tackar podcast right now that, look, you need to know the what you want, why you want it, the how will appear. And you just spoke about it, Manny, and I hope they caught it, which was your why seemed very strong. You wanted to retire your parents. Like, damn, that's a big why. And when you went through some of these setbacks, I'm sure that kept you going.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, for me, I started from way from the bottom, right? So I honestly couldn't get any worse. You know, very few things could make it worse. But when you have no home, you don't speak English, and you're basically feel helpless. And I was a skinny little boy too. You know, so the first thing I did, I said, "Hey, I'm gonna do what I can." You always start with what's in front of you. For me, it was my body, right? I bought two dumbbells for $1 at the swap. I was 14 years old. and I started working out in the patio, in the 2-bedroom apartment patio we ended up getting. And I started working on my body. I worked out 3 hours a day, and then I took 2 hours ESL class at high school to improve my English. And then I started looking at everybody that drives nice cars, and I asked them, I said, "What do you do?" So just take notice, just sometimes they say, don't copy others, but watch what's working for others, right?
Right. Success leaves clues, right?
Yeah,
Success leaves clues. I
absolutely,
mean,
absolutely. And so one day I was working at Winston Tires, and a guy came with a Porsche Cabriolet, and I was an assistant manager. I think I was 19 or 20 years old at the time. And I said, "What do you do?" He goes, "I own a mortgage company and a realty. That's what I do."
mm,
So I picked up his brain. I talked to him, and blah, blah. I'm like, "Wow." Another guy came, drive a Lexus, same thing. He was a mortgage broker. Another guy came, he was a real estate agent. I'm like, wow, real estate seems to be the way to go. And it's common sense. But the whole point of it, what I'm trying to tell you is, find, if you don't know what you're good at to make money, just find what works for others and just learn it. Over.
how do you coach people around finding, like, this is something, because the team that I have right now,
Yeah.
and there's new people coming, I'm always trying to, wanting to anyways, it's a passion of mine to help them find their own passion. How are you coaching people around that? Because you got a big squad around you as well, and you have thousands upon thousands of people that you coach, and we're going to talk about that in a second. How do you help people find their passion?
Passion's hard. Passion not necessarily makes money. My sister's passion is art. She's never made any significant amount of money. She's been doing it for 20 years.
Is she
Drawing,
happy?
art. Huh?
Is she happy doing
Happy.
it? Got it.
She's happy when she's doing the art, but she's unhappy when the bills show up. So what I'm saying, not necessarily don't follow your passion. A lot of guys say, "Oh, follow your passion and money will come." It's not necessarily true. Depends. Uh, but I say, if you want to be successful, look at the trends, like
Right.
e-commerce right now, digital marketing. Everything seems to be going online, right? Um, uh, More so even with the coronavirus epidemic we've had. But just move with the times. Times are changing, right? And you can always improve your game and do something better. Even if there is a competition out there, look at Coca-Cola and look at Pepsi, both multi-billion-dollar companies. It could be a third one that could be a multi-billion-dollar company. We
Right.
haven't come out yet, but they could, right? And
Right.
you got Red Bull and look at Rockstar, right? I mean, look at Mercedes, there's BMW, there's always rivals, and that's good. Competition is good, for any business. It helps you accelerate innovation. And so what I tell people, don't necessarily follow your passion. Find out what you're good at. If you don't know what you're good at, it's easy. Just find out what's in the trend. Like real estate is always going to go up, right? Over the long periods of time. So, but if you're passionate about doing something, let's say skateboarding or gaming, I mean, some of those gamers make a lot of money. Then don't stop that. Don't go do
Yeah.
real estate. Make your money in gaming, invest in real estate.
Now, I love that because that's exactly where I wanted to segue next, which is make money and then invest it into real estate. Because I found that that has been the best vehicle for myself personally and my thousands of my clients here in the greater Toronto area is investing into real estate when they have that mindset of long-term wealth. You could have invested in, and you still can invest into, a lot of different vehicles, but I think you always focus in on real estate. Why has it been always real estate for you, Manny?
Well, yeah, I've been doing real estate since 1992, and I have dabbled in many other investments. Sometimes on seed, sometimes on growth. Probably 12 or 13 businesses I put money into. None of them have panned out so far, but I've learned over the past 29 years, real estate always comes back. Somebody many years ago told me, if you take, some dirt and put in your pocket and hang your pants and come back 30 years later, the pants may be torn off, but and the dirt's still there, and God's not making any more of it, right?
Right.
Population is going up. So if you buy in great locations that are thriving, are going to be, great climate, good business environment, low cost of living, increased population over the years. Hey, it's demand and supply, right?
Can you
And
talk about how you got into real estate though as well, man? Like, what was the first few properties that you started investing into?
yeah, sure. So 96 is the first, I got my license in 92, but I didn't buy a home till 96, which was a bank-owned 6-bedroom, 4-bath in Garden Grove, California. I
Okay.
bought Downey Savings Bank, I believe was the seller. I bought it for 142,000. That house had previously sold for 220,000 or 250,000. So it was a great deal. It was a fixer-upper, not major fixer. So I bought that with FHA loan, 3% down, and I used my 3% commission to basically offset my down payment. And
Nice.
and that's the way to do it, leverage, right? So
Right.
yeah, leverage is magic, if you do it at the right time on the right property. And I bought that. I put paint carpet. I put some tenants into it, and then after within 18 months, I sold it for $80,000 more. And that was my first taste of a successful flip. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty damn good. With almost no money, I made 80 grand. So I bought 2 more REOs, did the same thing.
Right.
And then in 1998, I had a supermarket I was trying to sell, and we got into some dispute with the buyer, and we ended up in court. And my landlord had to be at the court because the dispute was over a lease. Um, my landlord told me, hey, you're a high energy kid. You're a good kid. You remind me of me when I was, in my teens 50 years ago. And he owned millions of dollars of real estate, probably 700-800 million dollars worth of commercial real estate, right? No
Okay.
residential. And I was only doing residential. And he said, what are you, slaving away owning a supermarket and, flipping these little homes? Why don't you get into commercial real estate? And I said, well, I don't know nothing about commercial real estate. Because when you're ready, call me. So 6 months later, I sold my supermarket. I had some money, a couple of hundred grand. I called him. I said, Mr. Williams, I'm ready. So he sent his broker over. He showed me 3 shopping centers, and I picked one. It was in Whittier, California. I think I wanted 800. We bought it for 675.
What
And
made you pick that one? Just out of curiosity, Manny. What made
so
you pick that out of the three?
yeah, seller was motivated. So seller had moved to Big Bear, which is very far. He had 2 heart attacks already, elderly guy, and he was basically an absentee owner that was motivated and had multiple price reductions. So when I saw the multiple price reduction, it's not being managed properly, it's a motivated seller, good location. Hey, it checks off all the boxes. So I bought that, and to me it represented a value add, and that's a really two magical words that I've made hundreds of millions of dollars on: value add. If I can add value to real estate, I don't buy it.
Okay.
Whole purpose, I'm not parking my money, I want to improve the real estate, right?
And so what's some ways that you add value that somebody that's
Sure.
watching or listening, like what Manny's looking for? Because I mean, you're one of the most successful people in the country right now that owns so much real estate, and you've done this over and over again. So for anybody who's watching or listening that doesn't know Manny, I mean, we're not talking to somebody that's done this 1 or 2 times, you know what I mean? So he's done this a lot. And so what value adds are you looking into doing when you're considering a commercial plaza or an investment opportunity?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, properties that are mismanaged tend to have a higher vacancy, right? So this property had 3 vacant units. So within a year, I leased those 3 vacant units. It was not being managed by a real estate company. It was managed by himself. He had a little sign on the building. So these are all clues that, hey, this is a property you can pick up, and there is some meat on the bone, right?
Yeah.
And I did convert the leases from month to month to 3 and 5 year leases at a little bit of a higher rate and with some bumps, right? 3% bumps per year. That added value. So increasing the occupancy is one value. Putting the leases on a longer term reduces the risk with the new owner, right? That's another value. And then putting some lipstick on it. I painted the building and planted some mini palm trees. Give it a better little bit look. So putting a lipstick on a property is not really putting a lipstick on a pig, because I made the pig into a nice cow,
Yeah. Now, even with like COVID right now, what trends are you seeing from a
Yeah,
real estate market perspective?
yeah, there is a ton of changes in the landscape when it comes to retail. It was already happening, but this whole COVID put everything on a like a turbocharger, right? So
Right.
the big box retailers, you know, all the big JC Penney, Sears, even some Kmart's, Bed Bath Beyond, um, you know, a lot of those big box retailers are obsolete, right? And repurposing real estate is going to be the biggest opportunity in the next 5 to 10 years because these are all located in a great part of city. You can buy them for dirt cheap, and you make your money on the buy in real estate. You buy low, add value, like I talked about earlier, and boom, you make a killing. And if you can add leverage to it, leverage it as much as you can, then you can, you know, 10x, 20x your money on a simple property, you know, a single property. Yeah.
Single. Now, what you spoke about it a little bit earlier, Manny, about your tenants. When the pandemic hit, like what was your mindset around making sure that your places were rented?
Hmm. Well, most of my tenants paid rent. I had a couple of restaurants, actually three restaurants that stopped paying me rent. I had a couple of gyms, Anytime Fitness in Pennsylvania. They
Okay.
asked for deferment, but overall, I mean, I knew this is a temporary, you know, crisis. Everybody knows that. I wasn't too worried. I was more worried about, um, you know, how much manipulation they're gonna do to scare more people, and people gonna stop, you know, basically just doing nothing because that will stop the wheel of, you know, money, you know, the
Right.
circulation of money. And obviously, the feds jumped in. They realized this is like a massive crisis because if everybody freezes and don't spend any money, that circulation of money stops. I mean, that's Great Depression, right? So they injected trillions of dollars, and that obviously helped, you know. So I was more confident once the Fed stepped in. Um, you know, I think it was within a month or weeks of March. But overall, the opportunities I see in real estate are hospitality, big box retailers, and some of the bigger bulk office spaces, right?
Now,
Like, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, do you see larger companies bringing people back to the offices, or are you one that's thinking, okay, more people are this trend that it is right now of people working from home? Do you think that's going to last? What's your thoughts on that? Because I feel like the culture in the workplace
You can
and
replace
productivity
that.
has gone down, right?
Yeah.
And I think large organizations like our Jeff Bezos, I mean, he spent a little over $1.2 billion on new office space, right? And so
Yeah.
my thinking, like, where do you stand on that, man?
Well, there is no doubt that corporations were forced into this, and they realize, hey, some of their you know, workforce is actually very productive, and they're working from home and they like it. So why, you know, why fix it if it's not broke, right? Post pandemic, they're gonna say, okay, you know, you have the option. You can work. Actually, they could give that option to everybody, right? Why not? As
Right.
long as they're meeting their quota. But back to what you said, yes, I don't think you can replace that culture, that you work in person, that energy. Um, you really can't replace that with Zoom calls. I just don't see it. You know, so I would say maybe 15-20% of workforce, maybe work from home, but the rest will come back, you know, to buildings. I just don't see it. You know, just going down from your office to grab a cup of coffee or grab lunch with somebody. I mean, sitting home all day, and most people have kids. I have two kids, you know, it's not, I'm telling you, it's not a peaceful place to conduct business, you know, and you got two kids running around.
100%. Well, everyone thinks you're not working. You're at home. They think you're not working, and it's, well, my wife is like, "Can you take the garbage out? Can you do this?" And it's like,
Yeah.
well, if I wasn't here, I would do that later, right? Um, but yeah, to your point about people getting back to work, I mean, I'm starting to see a lot of investors become fearful and start selling, like in the downtown Toronto core.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, I mean, we have our like pre-COVID, we had 250,000 people coming into the Greater Toronto area, which is like a 50-mile radius, Manny, and so we need about 50,000 households. So we had a massive housing crisis before COVID. And now we're starting to see some of these investors who had these properties sell off their condos because they're thinking that these tenants are not going to work from they're not going to work in the offices downtown. And my message to them is, guys, the values are going to go back up again. Just hold on, don't get so scared.
100%. Yeah, I'm on the same camp. It may be a year or two,
Yeah,
before it happens, because it's a health scare, and you know, when it comes down to your life dying, everything else goes out the window. So but I think Pfizer announced today that they got a vaccine that's 90% successful, and hey, you take 2 dosages of that and you're 90% good. I don't know, that's pretty good odds.
I,
I think when that comes out, they said by end of this year they'll have 50 million vaccines, which is less than 2 months. That's unbelievable. And then by next year they have 1.2 billion vaccines worldwide. So I think once this blows over, and I don't know if they stamp your driver license if you got a vaccine or not.
yeah.
You show your driver license, hey, you got vaccinated. Oh, the max is off. I think
Yeah, yeah,
people
yeah.
are getting used to going back to normal. You know, I
Now,
don't. This is a permanent. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about your course, man, because I know there's a lot of Canadians, and specifically, I'm located in Toronto, that are part of your course. How did this come about? When did it come about? And what can students expect from this course?
Yeah, you know how it came about? Well, I've started using my social media to share my passion, which are these beautiful cars. And every single comment, uh, a lot of comments, that is always, how do you make your money?
Yeah,
How can you afford 3 Bugattis? How can you afford this, McLaren P1 and what have you? So I keep responding. I finally got that. I'm like, you know what? I do real estate, and I want to teach, pass on my knowledge to all these other kids when they're just starting out, like I did, right? If I knew what I know now, 30 years ago, I would have avoided so many pitfalls, so many mistakes. Some of them cost me $5 million on a single building. I would have avoided, right? So I figured, hey, why don't I do a course and just show them all the pitfalls, all the pros, cons, how to get started, what to look for in a real estate. So that's how the mentorship started. And I start filming short videos. I think I have right now over 60 hours of videos, different modules. We use Kajabi. So I started doing that. It was started with the mentorship, Manny Khosbin's Millionaire Mentorship. Then we recently changed it to Manny Khosbin's Real Estate University, because really I'm teaching about real estate. And no, it's been great. I've got a lot of great feedback. Some of my students bought their fourth, fifth income property using my criteria, how to add value, my negotiation tactics to get credit while they're in escrow from the seller, and also using some of the leverage tactics I use to put less money down. It's much easier to double your money if you have less money in there, right?
he's right. And look, I mean, for somebody who's watching and listening right now, guys, gals, like
Yeah.
what Manny spoke about, like where he wouldn't have to hit his head against the wall if he knew now what he like if he knew back then what he knows now. Mentorship is really, in my opinion, the only way to speed up success. Otherwise, we know you got to work really hard, but you can essentially cut down the time of success to get to success by having mentors like Manny in your life. I mean, I'm a product of two mentors, one in car sales, one in real estate. That really, I mean, like, when I see them now, one's passed away, and when I see the other gentleman, I say to them, like, look, I'm glad that you hit your head against the wall because I didn't have to.
Yeah. Well, I tell people it's like opening a big, something you bought to put together, right? And you don't read the instruction manual and you're trying to figure it out. I'm the instruction manual when it comes to commercial real estate investing. And I've done close to $1 billion and I made so many mistakes. So just read the instruction manual so you don't make the same mistakes, you know.
That's it. Just read the manual. I know men have a hard time reading manuals, so but do it. And this is the manual that you want to read. Make sure to get to Manny's website. It's in the descriptions. It's all over the place. He's not a hard guy to find. He's all over the place. I want to be very, very respectful of your time. I'm going to do a quick 2-minute rapid fire, 1-minute rapid fire with you, if that's okay, Manny. Who was your hero growing up?
Oh, Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, why? I got to ask, is it Rocky?
No, well, it's his life story.
God.
He didn't give up. He went to so many people with the script for his movie, and they all offered him great money, but they said, "We don't want you to act in it." He goes, "No, I'd rather get nothing, but I want to act in it." So he didn't give up on himself, and that was one of the biggest, influence in me.
Love it. Favorite athlete?
Uh, God bless his soul, Kobe Bryant.
Thank you. Means that my favorite athlete of all time as well as Kobe. Favorite singer, and it doesn't need to be someone in America. You could take this back to the homeland if you wanted to, my man.
I would say Frank Sinatra.
Ooh, nice,
Yeah,
nice,
I smoke
nice.
cigars and I listen to Frank all the time in my car. So yeah.
Love it. Things left still on your bucket list.
Oh, there is so many. Um, well, traveling with my family, being able to just cut the cord for 3 months and just go off the grid and see the rest of the world. I mean,
Love
that's
it.
amazing. Yeah.
Favorite food cuisine.
Favorite food cuisine. God, I love everything, but I would have to say probably Daria restaurant, which is Persian food.
Well, we have a massive, massive Persian community here in Toronto. I want to say if you once this pandemic's over, when you get out here, we would love, not that you need me to take you for lunch or dinner, my man, but I would love to host you in this beautiful city of ours. And I would love to come and do a podcast episode one day in your garage as well.
Oh, it'll be my pleasure. Thank
Thank
you.
you, man.